Hello my friends, I'm super excited to share with you this crash course of modern web development with React and Next.js. I'm Jordan Kausen, full stack developer at Desktop, and this is my first course on my new YouTube channel, Jordan Kausen, which is about web development, and I'm specifically going to be taking you through React and Next.js from zero to full stack developers. So subscribe on my YouTube channel, Jordan Kausen, share with your friends, and please follow for content about modern web development. So I'm going to start with React.js. So React is simply a JavaScript front-end library for building user interfaces with ease. So a brief history about it. It was developed by Facebook in 2011, specifically for its newsfeed features. It was developed by software engineer called Jordan Welk, and it is maintained by Facebook till now. It is an open source software. So let's discover more about it. Why React.js? React.js is fast and efficient virtual DOM updates. Its component-based architecture. What I mean by this, it uses functional components to interact with different sections of pages. It also supports reusable components, strong community support, and vast ecosystem. React.js is used by international companies like Instagram, Netflix, Tesla, and very many more. So it works well with back-end frameworks as well. When we go further with this framework, we shall reach the back-end part where we shall use Node.js. So it is easier to work with Node.js when you React as your front-end framework. So the core concepts in this course, we are going to begin with the basics of React, which are the components. We also see the JavaScript XML. We shall interact with its syntax. We shall also see props and state management. Here we shall interact with Zustan, Redux, and very many other state management libraries. We shall also look at React hooks. These are the use state, use effect. We shall see their use. What you need to get started with React is simply having some prior knowledge about JavaScript basics. That is the vanilla JavaScript. You also need to have some basic knowledge about Tailwind CSS. In case you haven't interacted much with Tailwind CSS, you can go on their documentation and read about Tailwind CSS. You also need to have VS Code as your text editor. Next.js. Now, Next.js is a React framework built on top of React that is used for building fast, scalable, and production-ready web applications. So Next.js came in to solve a few problems encountered with React.js, and one of the problems React had was it was a single page application. So the Next.js came in, it enabled us route pages on the browser without refreshing the browser. So it came with additional features like server-side rendering, static site generation, and API routes. So what I mean with server-side rendering is simply fetching data and rendering the page on the server for each request. Then when I talk about static site generation, I mean that Next.js pre-renders pages at build time, resulting into fast load time. It also brought in client-side rendering. So what this does, it renders pages entirely in the browser using React. It also brought in API routes. So Next.js provides a way to create back-end APIs with the same project, with the same React project using the API route directory. So with that said, let's get started with setting up our environment. To be able to use React, you have to have Node.js installed on your machine. In case you don't have Node.js installed on your machine, go on and install Node.js. Now, Node.js comes with npm installed automatically. So npm is Node Package Manager. This one simply compiles all our files and renders them on the server with ease. So it does all that for us. We don't need to worry about how everything is going to be operated in terms of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So all that is done by npm. So having all that installed, we are going to start by creating a folder. I'm going to name it React Basics as project. Beginners project. So I'm going to open it with VS Code. I'm going to open the terminal. So in my terminal, I'm going to start with verifying whether I have Node and npm installed on my machine. So the command is node space -v. So this will show me the version of Node I have installed on my machine. I also run npm space -v. So this will also show me the version of npm I have installed on my machine. So after that, I am very sure I have node and npm installed on my machine. So I'll go on and install pnpm, which will be globally on my machine. So this one simply so pnpm is faster and more efficient. So I would love to install it since it is not installed automatically with Node.js. So I'll run command pnpm install. I is for install. I install it globally. So that is -g pnpm. So it will take a few seconds and having it installed. So I'll go on and install and run a command pnpm create next app dot slash, meaning in this same directory I'm in. Oh, sorry, I misspelled create. So it is pnpm create next app. So it'll ask me whether I would like to use TypeScript. For now, we are going to say no. ESLint, I'll to say no. Tailwind CSS, I'll say yes. So say yes for this source directory, I don't need it. The app router, I'll say yes. TurboPack, now TurboPack is the one that compiles the XJS files into what the web servers understand, the HTML, CSS, and the JavaScript. So you go on and say yes. So ask me whether I would like to customize the import allies. So this one, I'll explain more about it when we go into the app. So I'll give it some time to install all the necessary dependencies and packages. So for yours, it will take some time because it's the first time you're installing it. So you give it time to install all the necessary packages and files. So mine is done. It has brought a success message, meaning that I have my working environment set. So inside the app folder, it is where we're going to have the page.js, and in this page.js is where we have, this is like our home page. I can call it the index.html, but this is more of that. So to view my page on the browser, I'll simply write a command pnpm So I'll go and control click this link, and it will take me to the first page of my application. So it looks like this now. So we are going to, so we start by removing all this, Control A. Oh, sorry, before that, maybe to talk about these other packages. We have the public. In the public folder is where we store our images, SVGs. We also have the config.json package. This one looks like this. For now, just leave it. Don't change anything. We also have the next.config. It is also like this. Simply leave it like that. Don't add anything. We also have the package.json. This is where we have the scripts and the dependencies. All now, as we proceed, we shall be adding more scripts and dependencies in this package.json file. We also have npm lock.yml. Leave as well, don't add anything. The post, read, and the tailwind.config. Now for the start, you'll need to install Tailwind CSS. The command is pnpm install Tailwind CSS. You'll have Tailwind CSS installed. It's one-time installation, so in all your other apps and projects, it will come automatically. So with that said, back to my now in the app folder, it is where we store all our pages that render on the UI. So we shall discover more about this when we interact with more than one pages. So the layout, it is where I have the necessary inputs. Here it's where I have my styles. So here I have Gist and Gistmon from Go Fonts. So Next.js has this built-in import from Google. So you just need to simply get any of your desired Google font and you put it in this folder, as we're going to see. So this is simply the structure of the HTML simplified in the root layout. So it is simply HTML, the body. So the children is what we are able to see in the browser. So that's important to note. Now the app, the page.js, you should also leave it intact. Don't rename it. Leave it as it is. And like you see here, it is the home page. So you can remove all this by pressing Ctrl A. Then we remove inside it. We run. See, this is React functional component. So they will bring this page again. You can name it home. Now this is our page.js. So this is simply where we have our JavaScript XML. So in this page, it's where we return the HTML. It's where we render the HTML. So inside here, we can do the app, the styling, and the JavaScript itself in this very file without having to have CSS file separate, the HTML file separate. We all do that in this one file. So that's the beauty of React Next.js. So everything must be wrapped in a div. We usually use the div components, the div elements. So I can write here an h1, and I simply write hello. Hello my and front end friends. So when I go back to my browser, I'll have hello my front end friends as my text. So this is simply how. So the styling, we use class name. So this is styling CSS. So you simply write class name. Don't write class like we do in CSS. It is class name. When you come to React, for class it means some other thing. So I can give this text, I can give it a text size. Let me say 2XL. So this is 1.5 rem. Then I can also make my font bold so that we can clearly see it. So center the text. Can go into this whole div where my text is, and I give it a padding of, let me give it 8. That is too. So this is my text. So I've done the styling inside. I've done the styling inside this one file. So that's the beauty of. To show you the JavaScript. For the JavaScript, you can run it inside using these curly brackets. So inside here, you can write your JavaScript file, your JavaScript, and do whatever you want to interact with your page. Said, let's start with we're going to start with components. So components are simply functions that we can reuse in different parts of our pages. You can create a folder and name it components. Sure it is in the root directory. So inside my component, I can create a file and name it heading1 heading1.js. So RFC, React functional component. Make sure this one is capital. So all our functional components start with this capital capital letter. So ensure you first read this, hit capital, the first letter. So I want to show you the idea of reusable components. So I can copy all this and bring it here in my heading component. So when I save and go back to my page, so like you see, you can export these functional components and import them in some other components you would like to use them. So this is exported by default. I can come here and import it. Can come here and import it as heading. So it is this one. You click and it will be imported from components folder, which is this one. So having it imported here, still have the same thing. Oh, sorry. I can still have it on my UI, these components. So I want to explain to you the issue of reusing this component anywhere I want. So I can come here and create a contact page. JS. So I created a folder called contact, and inside it I have a file page.js. So in my page.js, and when I type RFC, React functional component, it's a page. I can rename it contact. Inside it, I can still access this heading. I can import it and use it in this page as well. So I can type heading, they will bring it. So I go on and import it. Simply click on it, I import it. So when I go back to my browser, still on the home page, I can come here and get the contact page. I simply type in contact, and when I type contact, it will refresh and bring me to this contact page. Maybe to add some more text to differentiate it from the home page, I can write a paragraph saying this is my contact page. So when I go back to my browser, I will see it. So when I remove this contact and go back to the home page, it will take me to the home page. But take notes that I have used this reusable component in this page.js that is in the contact folder, and in this page that is the home page. So that's the reusability of the React components. We can make every HTML element reusable. For example, buttons, tables, or quotes, and very many other. You can make every component reusable. For this tutorial, we are going to end with this, and in our next meeting, we shall going to talk about these components more dynamic and still reusable. So in our next meeting, we are going to be talking about that and dive into more concepts. So thank you for watching. This was a brief introduction about how React and Next.js work. Thank you for watching. Meet in our next video.